Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyana Timandasya Yananjana Salakaya. Chatur Unmilitam Yena. Tasme Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamaye Dadati Swa Pandadikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sta Sri Rupa Sagrupata Sahagana Raghunathavitam Sajivam Sadvedam Savaduta Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitam Sta He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwariye Rishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatra च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णव्यो नमो नमः Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, it's my absolute pleasure now to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, His Grace Brajamohan Prabhu, a brahmachari from ISKCON Chaupati and an initiated disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. His Grace earned his bachelor's degree in IIT Mumbai and master's in science from University of Illinois, USA. His Grace had also conducted several seminars on Gita Sutras, Prerna programs on science of self-realization, several TED Talks, mostly on self-discovery, and also many others. It is an absolute honor, Prabhu, to have you with us today. We can't thank you enough for being here today. So now, passing the stage to our Gaur Sena representative, Subha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shalini Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Hare Krishna, Prabhu, how are you?
I'm good. Hope you are all also well.
Yes, Prabhu, we are very well. Thank you so much for agreeing to be our guest speaker today. So before we start today, I would just like to introduce our topic. And because very interestingly, Prabhu, you asked also before we started, why specifically this topic? Because I think this topic is quite relevant to the current phenomena that's happening around the world. Mental health issues is becoming a global phenomena which is affecting everyone. We can't really say this mental health is only affecting a certain people of a certain region or a specific group of people. It's everybody, I think. So when we were practicing for this, Hema Mataji told me this very cutely. He said, similar to how you get interest when you deposit money in a bank, right? So right now with this global pandemic happening around the world, mental health issues comes along with it. So how do we actually, counter this? So Prabhu, my first question, right? This mental health issue has been a sprouting topic of late. And if you don't handle it correctly, it actually leads to a lot of social issues like suicidal, violence, or even self-harming. What is your point of view, Prabhu, on mental health issues, and what do you think is the source of mental health issues?
Thank you, Shubhaji, for asking me a very pertinent question, and welcome to all our attendees today. I see over 98 on Zoom that have come for this very pertinent topic organized by Gaur Sena, a very active group and a very organized group that I have been fortunate to come in touch with because of this virtual table talk. I'll just share one experience that I had 2 years back when I was touring United States. There was a talk, there was a meeting that was arranged with a professor in Yale University. Now Yale, you know, is one of the top Ivy League colleges. So when I went to attend that, to meet with that professor, I was quite surprised to see that all over the campus was a poster put up telling people not to do something. Can anyone post on the chat what not to do in Yale University? I don't know if everyone's chat is on. So usually, United States especially is very much conscious about cleanliness. There is public You cannot just put your clothes outside, or if you don't mow your lawn, then you'll be fined. I don't know how it is in Malaysia, and quite drastic opposite that is in India. In India, people keep their homes clean, but they don't care about their surroundings. In United States, what I see is people are very conscious about their surroundings, the roads, but the homes, they somehow they stink. Especially those that don't keep them clean. Uh, so, so the notice all over the campus was not about cleanliness, was not about you have to work hard, was not about anything else, but I was quite taken aback when the notice was about don't commit suicide. And so then immediately asked the professor, come on, the best of the students come here, and why is this poster put up? And then they said, and she said that that's the very reason why we had to put up, because the best of the students come and there is such a pressure here, such a competition here, that most students can't be what they dreamt of to be. Most of us have this experience that no, we may be toppers in our schools, but when we go to the college, then because it is of a certain line after which you are allowed, almost everyone there is of equal caliber, and there you are no more the topper, you are the pauper there. You are the one who is just struggling to complete your academics, complete your schools. And so because of that intense pressure, most of the students that come there, they have never tasted failure, and because they have never been second in their life, whenever they wanted something, either through money or through their great intelligence, they could achieve that. And here was the first time in Yale University where they were facing such a fierce competition that they either realized that they are not going to be the best, or they are not the best, or they fear that they are not going to the parents or the colleagues that they have, that they are surrounded with, they will kind of pull them down. And they say that everyone has these two drives in their life. And I'll just share one incident from my childhood to explain this. In India, power outage was a common thing, no more now. And in my childhood, when I used to, whenever there was a power outage, immediately I used to run out to meet with my friends and to just talk. Whenever there is, like, say the Wi-Fi goes off or the power goes off, that is the time you want to really meet up, you want to kind of connect to people. So when I used to go out, as I was going out to meet my friends, because now my parents couldn't say you have to study, you have to do that, there is no light. So then I used to give a glance at all the other houses in my neighborhood, and then when I used to see that the power is gone in all the houses along with mine, I used to feel, hey, the world is normal, there is no injustice, and misery likes company. So somebody else, my friend doesn't have electricity, I don't have, so let's gel together. And then sometimes when I used to go out, because there was power outage in my house, and I used to see that in my friend's house there was light, there was power, I used to feel extremely hurt, extremely being unjust. Either the God or the society or the government has been unjust, that I don't have power but my friend has power. What did I do wrong that I was not getting electricity? And the third scenario was when I used to go out just for getting something, and I used to see that the whole neighborhood was totally blank, totally black, and there was only power in my house. Then I used to feel I am the chosen one, or I am the special one who has been chosen by God. And this mindset of us constantly comparing with the situation, with the people around us, creates so-called temporary ups and downs. And so this is called, so there is this normal drive, the drive to be to have what everyone else around you has. Say all of your friends have a small little phone, say Nokia in the olden days, then you also like to have that Nokia. But now that everyone has upgraded to say iPhone or Samsung or different all the smart gadgets, then you also need to have. And if you are in a circle where you are not wearing an Apple Watch and everyone else is wearing an Apple Watch, you feel so awkward to go there, because that drive to be accepted as a normal, to be wanting to be that acceptance is a very strong drive. And nowadays people are being judged or accepted for what they have, not what they are. And when we are accepted for how we look, then how we are, then people go after the looks. And no matter how many filters you apply on Instagram, no matter how many makeups you try to do, the body has its own degeneration. Not all of us look cute all the time, and then that takes over our mind that I'll not be accepted in this beauty parade and at the college. I'll not be accepted in this intellectual conference of my friends when because I am not having what everyone else has. So there is that need for acceptance. And in the society today, we are so much valuing people for what they have than what the characters that people need to have. And instead of the values, the valuables are given more prominence, and that's creating a lot of mental issues that people fear that they will not be accepted in the society if they don't score well, if they don't look well, if they don't fund well. And then there's another drive. So that's the first scenario where my friend, that there was power is outage in everyone's house and mine, so I feel normal. And then there is another drive, which is another killer, especially for mental health, is our constant drive in life to want to feel special, to have what no one around you has. And when you get that, say again, you are the first one in your campus, in your circle, in your friend circle, that gets the latest Apple Watch. So then there is a special feeling that you associate yourself, that I am special because I have something that no one else has. Now as soon as everyone else has it, then it's normal, there is nothing. And then we go to the next step. And society today, especially through Facebook, is constantly putting up this show that someone else has something special that I don't have. Constantly we see on Instagram, Facebook, somebody is posting a photograph of them in Hawaii beach, or them having a nice pizza, or enjoying life. And then you are eating and you are scrolling down on Instagram, and then you see that your friend is having a pizza and your mom has just made khichdi. And then you just hate that, hey, my life is no special, there is no fun. And in these two drives, the special drive, the normal drive, we all get caught up in this comparison network. And then that's where we start to feel that my life is not worth, or I am inferior. And if we just are conscious not to judge ourselves for others, because if you judge others based on these values, then you will also judge ourselves on the same thing. So therefore, when a friend, don't judge a friend by what he has externally, but what he is internally. So then we will be able to overcome these mental issues, which will come up in Yale, which will come up in anywhere around the world, because the human psychology has not changed. Human technology has changed, but human psychology hasn't changed.
Absolutely, Prabhu, absolutely. I could totally relate to you, especially the part, okay, so to conclude, right, Prabhu, that you say two things. First is it is when you have so much of expectations, and when your expectations are not met, you become disappointed. That leads to mental health issues. And second one is when you are always constantly comparing yourself with someone who is better than you. So I always have this scenario where people will always judge me based on my Instagram postings, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, your life is so good, this and that," and I probably would have had the worst week that week. But it's just that because I choose not to portray that on Instagram, everything looks very nice. People are constantly judging us like that. So yeah, definitely, Prabhu. And the last part that you said, human technology is improved, but human psychology is not. I think I couldn't agree more than that. But Prabhu, also right to think about this. About 10 to 15 years ago, Prabhu, this mental issue was never a topic, or we have never heard. Like, for example, my mom, right? Like, whenever I tell her those things that's happening right now, like, people are committing suicide or about depression, she's still in denial. My mom is still in denial that such thing never occurred when she grew up, or it was never a thing back then. So, Prabhu, in your opinion, what is the contributing factor? I mean, you answered right, like this too, but why is it so much now compared to back then? Like during our parents' time, it was never an issue. Now, so do you think it's solely because of the technology, or what, Prabhu?
Okay. Thank you again, Shubha. You are coming up with very pertinent questions that in the past we didn't had so many psychiatrists. It is said almost 1/3 of the population today goes to a psychiatrist, and that means that there are not 1/3 of psychiatrists that are there. That means even psychiatrists have to go to other psychiatrists, and the sad story of Robin Williams, one of the most entertaining person in the world, and then but he himself was so depressed and disappointed that he ended his life. To discuss this, why in the previous generation we didn't had this kind of issue and why we today have, I would like to just take one aspect from the Bhagavad Gita to explain this point. This is the first chapter of the Gita, where there are three conversations that are happening. One is the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, the most prominent one, and the starting of the conversation is between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, and then there is after that there is another conversation before Krishna's, that is between Duryodhana and Dronacharya. And Dhritarashtra, he was blind, and more than being blind, he was not willing to take an active step in correcting his life. He wanted someone else to do things for him. He wanted either his sons or the destiny or the government to make it happen, that he wants to be the king. So there is the desires are there, the ambition, the aspirations are there, but then there is no active work on the personal front to make it true. And he is using his son, unfortunately, here to fulfill his dreams. And sometimes this happens with parents, that their unfulfilled dreams are pushed upon their children, and children become the fulfillers of parents' dreams. Of course, if they do it voluntarily, if that fits their nature, then there is nothing better than that. And Duryodhana, he also bought into the narrative of Dhritarashtra, that this was an unjust situation, that he is supposed to be the king, and and here in the battlefield, Dhritarashtra asks, the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjay is, Kim akurvata Sanjay, what happened on the battlefield? And this shows a mentality, a psychology, where a person who is not really acting to change his destiny, his course of life, his career, is only worried about the results, what is the outcome of the situation. Just like elections are happening, most of us can't do anything, so we just keep wondering what happened, what what is the outcome of the situation. And but Duryodhana, he knows that outcomes don't just happen by chance. Outcomes happen by endeavor, by diligent endeavor. And the way the battlefield was arranged was that although he had more army with him, somehow the confidence that the Pandavas had with less army, that really shattered him. And when he saw the whole battlefield, Arjuna became curious and Duryodhana became anxious. And out of his anxiety, that how come in the absence of they being kings did they gather so much support? If you are a king, it's natural to gather support. But being in the forest, there is no Facebook that time. Where did they just connect? How did they network with gods, with kings? It was really difficult for Duryodhana to catch this. And Duryodhana goes to his guru, Dronacharya, and instead of expressing his anxiety, he is boasting confidence. He is boasting that everything is right, and he is kind of telling his guru, his teacher, that how you should be careful, and of course the whole discussion of the first chapter. So most of us in life, that when we take up challenges, when something is challenging, first of all, Duryodhana, all through his life, he never spent time for others. All the time that he spent in his life was with people that benefited him. He never was in a mindset that can I benefit someone else with my time, with my energy. And all the relationships that he made was only with a selfish perspective. Therefore, when he is even coming to Dronacharya, he had never kind of really wanted to serve his guru. Even when he was asked for Guru Dakshina, he took Karna, who was not really his disciple, Dronacharya's disciple, to make the task happen. Because he was, if something is for me, then I am going to be there on the field. But if something is not there for me, then I don't want to interfere, I don't want to involve. And today's mindset more and more has come to this, that almost all of us spend time with only things that matter to us. And whereas with Krishna and Arjuna, it was not just on the battlefield. Arjuna also initially was just curious, but as they say, curiosity killed the cat. His curiosity slowly started to become anxiety. And why he was anxious? Because he was feeling that I was thinking that what I was doing is right, but my near and dear ones are against me. So maybe what I am doing is not right. But instead of hiding his anxiety, he expressed his dilemma, his vulnerability. And most of us in today's day and age, we don't have relationships, we don't invest in relationships where we can confide and where we know that someone understands us. And Duryodhana was a person who never made any relationships genuinely. And Arjuna and Krishna, there are n number of stories in Mahabharata where each one was willing to give their life for the other. When Indra had asked Krishna, what do you want, Krishna, after that burning of the forest? Then Krishna just said that I just want Arjuna to be my friend forever. He just wanted friendship, he just focused on relationships. Whereas Duryodhana, he was focusing on resources. And when you are focused on resources, what someone can do for you, then you can never really make a genuine relationship. And because of lack of genuine relationships in today's day and age, and one of the factors is our mobiles, that we spend so much time with our mobiles. Literally, we don't need to interact with the world. I recently read a story that an old man was struggling to go to the bank, and his son came from another city and immediately asked, Papa, father, why are you going to the bank? Don't you have an ATM card? Don't you have all these online transfers? And then he said, I don't have. Then I'll activate this, and so that you don't have to go to the bank to draw money. And then the father, the son asked, but why do you want the money? So I can buy things. Oh, you don't need to go to the shop to buy things. You can just go to Amazon or whatever and just buy things. So in this way, he told him all in-house options, which we are all kind of used to now, all in-house options. And then he said, you don't have to struggle. Everything will be at your doorstep. So I'll just make everything smooth for you. Then the father, he reflected for a while, and then he said, see beta, when I go to the bank, I meet many of my friends that come there, and I know I meet the bank teller and I interact with him. Then similarly, when I go to the shop, I inquire about the shopkeeper's welfare, about his family, and there are other people in the community that I go and meet. But with the option that you are saying, yes, everything will be convenient that I don't have to interact with anyone. But but if I don't interact, and I can't just interact, just okay, let's get away, and what you do, just booze. So that's not how relationships happen. When I go and help in someone's advice, give them advice or give them a help, then that's how relationship will happen. And the model that you're suggesting of the internet model is going to strip off of all relationships, all human interactions that I'm going to have. The only interaction that I'm going to have is with this screen, and unfortunately, like Duryodhana, we become like that. That we have not spent any time in relationships in person in a human way, and therefore when issues come up, we really don't know apart from Google whom to ask. So the Gita at the outset makes a very strong lesson to us, that spend time in relationships with people, because in times of need it is those that are going to come to help. It is not your selfish pursuits, or it is not your someone will come and help me. Why are people not asking me for help? That nobody loves me. Dhritarashtra was that nobody loves me because he didn't love anyone. Only when we love others do we bring out that love from them. So this I feel in the older generation, one because of lack of technology, people had that human touch, that interaction, and they could make some genuine relationships. And also the aspect of spirituality, there was strong spiritual culture in almost all countries, and because of that people also had that divine connection. And because of these human and divine connections in the old, yes, there was much lesser issues. It was not there. We see 5,000 years back it was there, but lately it has increased because of lack of human interactions that we are all somehow bound by, and more so with this COVID.
True. Very, very lovely. You have connected mental health and you've brought it back to Mahabharat. I mean, we've all read Mahabharat. We do have classes, but it was never occurred to us that, this situation is similar to what was happening with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. So, Prabhu, while you were saying this, Prabhu, this incident in Mahabharat came to my mind where, Krishna offered Duryodhana and Arjuna two things for the war, and Duryodhana chose the resources, which was Krishna's Sena, and Arjuna chose Krishna himself. So I think, that just came to my mind.
Yes.
While you were saying
it's not just on the battle, that even before the battle the mindset is same, that what do we prefer in life, relationships or resources?
True.
It's an important choice we need to make.
You have put it very beautifully, Prabhu. And also, I recently heard that we are supposed to use things and love people, but these days, who we are, loving things and using people instead. So I think this
Yes.
conversation is very relatable to what you were saying, Prabhu. And Prabhu, because this is something that I prepared earlier. Like while we were talking about this, right, Prabhu, in Mahabharata also, right, Abhimanyu, for example, this scenario that I'm going to tell, Abhimanyu knew how to enter the Chakra Vyuham, but he didn't know how to come out. Similarly, right, these days we all know that we are in problems, but most of us are very clueless on how to solve the problem. And later, what happens is we become very comfortable in that situation. Instead of finding a way to come out of it, we tend to like sit inside the problem and whine about it. So, because Abhimanyu didn't know how to come out, he faced a very, it cost him his life. And I think if we don't know how to manage this mental health issue, um, anything, any problems for that matter, we could also face such a problem. So it takes
Correct.
intelligence to come out of the problem. What is, how would you put this, Prabhu?
Before there is a great need for preparing before we enter any aspect. If you enter any field without preparation, proper preparation, then you're going to get stuck at one point or other. And Prabhupada always used to say that life is a preparation and death is an examination. And and this time that we have is given to us so we can prepare, and all the challenges that we get are just mock tests to see how well we are and how we can improve. But if you are taking the tests without learning the lessons, without say you are taking a test on complex algebra, but you have not taken any course on it, how are you going to pass in that? And only later you will know, okay, this is the wrong answer, this is the right answer, A B if it was a multiple choice, but you will not even know why this was the right answer, why this was the wrong answer. So most people today, they tend to believe that life will teach me the lesson as I go, but life will only teach you lessons after you have passed that phase. It's just like for an old man, if you give a comb, what's the use of that? So they say experience is a comb that an old man gets where he can't comb himself, when he can't comb himself. Therefore, there is a great need that spiritual knowledge, wisdom, the art of living has to be given as young as possible, because the more fresh we are, the more the mind has not become cemented yet. So the more we can mold ourselves to the proper truth. Therefore, they say an honest man. Let me tell a story before this. That once a man was shooting an arrow, and it was perfectly at the bullseye. Whichever arrow he was shooting, it was perfectly at the bullseye. Then one of his friends came and said, "Hey, how did you gain this expertise?" And then his friend, he said, the one who was shooting the arrows, he said, I shoot the arrow first, and wherever it hits, I make the bullseye. So most of us, we just make the experience or what we want as the philosophy of our life. But an honest man, he aligns his wishes, his ideas to the truth, rather than compromise the truth or make his ideas into what is reality. So therefore, the need for the Bhagavad Gita, need for spiritual wisdom, need for people who can whom we can discuss about life is important, because otherwise material knowledge just helps to make us a living. And no matter which field one is, unless one is trained how to fix this mind. Often when I am asked that, hey, Prabhuji, you are an engineer, why did you join a monastery, a renounced order? Now you could have built so many machines. And I often say this, that it is, yes, building machines is important, but building people is more important. And when machines break, we can go and get one more machine. But when people break, we can't just replace people, because today that's the situation, that love at first sight and divorce at first fight, that you just want to keep replacing wherever you find issues. But so therefore the need for spiritual wisdom is all the more important, especially when is going through challenges, to understand that I need to be prepared for the challenges that are coming. And that's the role of parents, to not just give comforts to the children, but also make them aware of how to face life's challenges. If they are always not just pampering them with whatever they want, then the children will never learn how to accept a no, how to accept a failure, how to accept a defeat. And it is that concept, that understanding that was lacking between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Pandavas always, many times they faced defeat, but they learned to accept that. And Kauravas, they were always in denial, and they found some or other excuse that it is because of that reason that we were denied of that, but we can still overcome. So if you are in denial that I am always I can achieve whatever I want, today's motivational stuff is that yes, we can achieve definitely something in this world, but we cannot either think that I am nothing or I am everything. The best is to understand I am something, and let me realize what that something is.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you for that wonderful answer, Prabhu. So, moving on to addressing mental issue as a real problem, Prabhu. Mental health is usually classified as mental health illness, which is similar to physical illness, like for example cancer or diabetes or even fever. Modern science, right, instead of solving these issues, it tend to create dependency towards drugs or medications. So then medicines become a temporary recovery solutions that doesn't address the root. So if I'm feeling low now and I'm on a medication, when I take the medicine, I'm going to feel okay. Then I'm going to go back feeling sadder again. Then I'm going to take more medication and I'm going to feel even sadder. So this becomes a vicious cycle again and again. So in this situation, Prabhu, how, in your opinion, spiritual help is of a greater height compared to medical assistance? I'm not against medical assistance, but I'm just trying to understand how spirituality would help in this situation, Prabhu.
Thank you. So as you said rightly, that there is a place for medicines in this world. I kind of remember that long back when the specs were invented, uh, some people just thought that wearing specs was against religion, because you are depending on some material thing to see the world instead of depending on God. If God wanted you to see properly, He would have given you proper vision. But why are you taking help of something material, either for doing church or do for your normal days? So, and then many of the medicines termed as sins, crocin, terramycin. So even that terminology comes from there, that they consider that depending on anything material for your well-being, for your growth, is not at all proper. Then there is another aspect, another extreme, that just depending on something material for your overall well-being, even that's an extreme, because even if I wear the specs, I'm not going to see everything. I'm not going to see still my back or what is in the back. There is a certain place that medications have, especially when someone is chronic. So for urgent situations, to really help to bring the body into a particular shape where you can focus on the true medicine. Just like when there is an operation, there is extreme pain. Recently one of my tooths was removed, and the doctor, he gave me anesthesia. Now that anesthesia was so that I could bear that intense pain that will happen when the tooth was removed. And after that, after 2 hours, the anesthesia was over and the whole pain of removing the tooth was there. But then for that situation he had given me some painkillers that, Prabhuji, you will feel pain, you take these painkillers for 2 days, and but you slowly try to minimize it, because the body will start to fight. So when you give a painkiller or an anesthesia, it is a temporary thing, so that because of the intensity you just want to be able to handle it. But then unless the body responds, the healing is not going to happen just through painkiller. Painkiller is going to remove you from that sensation of pain, but it's not going to heal the situation. Same way, when someone goes into just indulging into senses or taking any kind of medication, it is temporarily going to remove that sensations, that feelings. The communication is stopped. That doesn't mean that the problem is over. And if the problem has to be addressed, just like when we get pimples or boils, it is the symptom of a deeper problem, that is the blood is impure. But if you just focus on removing the pimples, removing the boils, that's okay if the boils is troubling you too much, or you have some event where you have to look nice. But if you don't address the root cause, which is known as pathological solution and symptomatic solution, the root cause is not on the physical level. The psychophysical, there is a deep connection between the mind and body. When we are upset, most of the illnesses, cancer, diabetes, are stress induced. And when we are stressful, the body sees a particular kind of harm, and in trying to protect its vital organs, it shuts off all the other situations that it goes into an emergency mode. Just like when the lockdown was there, except the essential services, everything else was stopped. Now what that did was, the basic country was running, but so many of the others that were not in essentials, they all faced such a severe loss. Same way, all the other organs that let's say our thyroid glands, our pancreas, all the others, they are in a shutdown mode. The mind just stops everything because of that stress. The body just tries to protect itself. But but the stress is because of some insecurity that you have, or some challenge that you have taken that doesn't suit your nature. So when you address that through understanding of spirituality, that God has made everyone for a purpose, and let me realize that purpose, and my purpose need not be the same as someone else's purpose. So let me not be in this rat race trying to prove to someone that I am better than him. Everyone is uniquely made, Krishna explains in the Gita, and everyone has a very unique relationship with God. So when we understand the connection that we have, the eternal, that we are never going to be lost forever, the soul is eternal, so that when you understand our true identity, then we start to become an observer, and the thoughts, these kinds of emotions will come and go. They will not make a permanent settlement in our mind, because one of the most precious spaces that exists in our world is our mental space, and we should only allow those things that are beneficial for you. You just don't let anyone to come and occupy your home, then they'll create a havoc. And the reason why there is so much trouble today is this city, this body doesn't have a vigilance, that we just keep seeing everything, keep hearing everything, and because of that all the things go in and they just sit, and then they keep bringing out all kinds of negative thoughts, not thoughts that are not important for us, and our whole time goes in that, and our whole energy is drained by that. But if we are very conscious of our eating, we are very conscious of our habits, and a conscious living will come from being Krishna conscious, that it is God that has given me this life. So this is a very sacred life. Just like something is given to you as this very special thing, you will try to protect it. If you don't know the speciality of it, you will just throw it away. So when you understand the speciality of this gift that you have been given, then you will be careful to protect it too. And so therefore the Gita makes us understand the value of the gift of human life, the life that we have. So then we will not just waste it away. So that's the role of spirituality. It first of all removes the root problem, that is our validate our evaluation based on our externals.
Absolutely, Prabhu, absolutely. I always add this question, Prabhu, where some 10 years ago when I had depression and I actually got over it through spirituality. But whenever I tell people, they could never relate to me. They'd be like, no, how could you do, take spirituality? And I always didn't know how to put it in the proper words or to connected to them. So now, Prabhu, I think based on your answer, I will have a proper answer to tell people, and I can actually proudly tell them that no, I got over it through spirituality. So beautifully put, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, because you were saying, right, it's all in our mind, which brings me back to something that Krishna told in Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 6, text 6, Krishna actually mentioned that for those who conquer their mind, it becomes their best friend. And when you fail to do so, it becomes your greatest enemy. So, Prabhu, when you see when a misery is happening or a problem is happening, this is based on what I have seen in my real life. When situations like that occur, the first thing that people will drop, or people will be like, I'm not doing this anymore, would be their spiritual practices. They will not stop eating, they will not stop going to work, or nothing in their day-to-day life will change, but they would definitely, from what I've seen, Prabhu, this is purely based on what I've seen, that people tend to stop their spiritual practices, because they'll be like, oh, I do this, but I'm not getting, God is not helping me. In situation like that, that is the first situation, Prabhu. In that situation, how do we ask people, or in that context, how do we bring spirituality into people's mind? That is first. Secondly, Prabhu, this is based on my experience. Like similarly, I had an experience where I went for a tooth extraction to a dentist very recently, probably last year, and I was in so much of fear. I was so much in fear. Actually, it was not extraction, but I went for a root canal. So I was constantly repeating to the doctor, I'm scared, I'm scared. But the doctor was ensuring me, no, it's not going to be pain, girl, listen. And I wanted to chant Narashima Kavacham for protection, I was in so much of fear, Prabhu. You won't believe it, I forgot Narashima Kavacham. Although it's something that I, chant every single day in every situation. But that moment when I was in fear, I went blank. I couldn't even I couldn't even recall what is Narashima Kavacham. And then I realized when problems like this come, it's so difficult for us to reach out to spirituality or spiritual practices. So how do we overcome this situation, Prabhu?
Thank you. Very excellent question, for especially those who are trying to do this. Then they see that, hey, it's not such a easy game. Krishna in the 6th chapter, he explains this, that one has to pull the mind up by one's spiritual intelligence. And Arjuna, he says the same thing, that if I have to pull up myself by myself, it seems to be a very difficult task and almost impossible task, because when I am overcome by fear, where is that other self who is going to remind me? I am so overcome that, just like you said about this when you, by fear, that you forget things that is to be done, but you just go blank. And that's where we need camaraderie, we need association, so that when we go blank, there's someone else who can remind us. Because spiritual life goes not like this, but goes like this. And when we are in our lows, some of the beauty of life is that the other person may not be low. And if we are having that relationship, then he will cheer us up. It's not after all so bad. You can pass through this. And therefore they say, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And and most of our, and if you are surrounded by people that have a similar aspiration, then it helps us to come over of our mind, because usually when we are alone, the mind overtakes us. But when we are with someone else, our intelligence is more at guard. But as soon as you are conscious someone else is watching you, you won't do the same kinds of habits or same kind of things that you would have done when no one is there. But when no one is watching you, like late in the night, then all kinds of thoughts come. You start to browse all kinds of wrong websites because no one is watching. Then the mind overtakes. So therefore, if the mind is still not strong, be in the association of those that will help you to keep the mind in guard. And that's where most of the spiritual practices is a single game, is as a monologue. It's just a one man's efforts. And therefore and even when someone climbs a mountain, no one climbs a mountain alone, especially something like Mount Everest. They all go in a group. But just because they are in a group doesn't mean that others are going to carry them. That's another thing. Okay, I'm in this group, everyone is going to just push me up. No, you got to put your efforts. But what happens is everyone ties ropes with each other on the trek. And in case someone has a slip, then that ropes that are binding, that will protect the other one who slips. And in this way, everyone kind of starts to reach the top. So therefore, the relationships, especially relationships, that bindings that we do to go together, either as a family, but just say they are just at the base camp, they are not willing to go, then those ropes become bondage. They are just tied. They don't have freedom. But when they have to take up a challenge to climb up a mountain, then those ropes, those relationships are very important. They are vital strengths for us in case when there is a fall. And also in a group, there is always that enthusiasm is more. There is that 1 plus 1 becomes 11, as they say. That when two come together, each one may be low, having some energy, but when both match, it becomes a square, the amplitude principle. So therefore, to have a company of to keep in company, just like Gaur Sena, it's a Sena. It's not just one man who is trying to conquer his mind. It is a group effort, and within the group effort, we all have our individual challenges. But so therefore, it is a individual plus a group symphony that we need to work together to overcome the challenges of the mind.
You were stressing on the importance of association, right? It is something that my teacher always emphasizes as well, because when we are in a group, it's always easier to achieve something when you're in a group. And this reminds me of something that Gauranga Prabhu always says: collective unity is more important than individual purity.
Yes.
So when when you come together, you can always achieve greater things. So Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu, is definitely a manual of book that all of us could take it how to live life. So Bhagavad Gita is an instruction where it's a conversation basically where Krishna is instructing Arjuna. So Arjuna is telling Krishna that he doesn't want to fight, no fight. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, no, fight. So there's these two connotations here, Prabhu. So in our spiritual life or our day-to-day life, which approach do we take, Prabhu? Do we fight or do we fight? Like, to progress in our spiritual life, do we move forward by ignoring whatever, these mental issues? Or do we address and fight this issue to move forward?
Thank you. Yes, that dilemma is always there. the flight mode or the fight mode.
Correct, Prabhu.
That should I fight this out or should I just leave this situation and just go? And there is this car principle that helps us to know when to fight, when not to fight. The car principle is that change the changeable. That there is the situation is not right, it's not going to help anyone, and once you're conscious of that, it's your duty to try to bring a change. And just like the Pandavas, before the battle, they tried to change the mindset of the Kauravas. They tried to, even Krishna went to for the peace mission, to have a peace proposal that let's resolve this without fighting. And so change the changeable is the first principle, that if you can change something, and unless you try, you're never going to see whether it be your academics, whether it be your fitness, whether it be your relationships. You have to put an effort to try to see that will something work. And many a times the issue may be with us more than the other person. There is a story that once a daughter-in-law was so fed up with her mother-in-law, she went to a doctor and said that give me a pill so I can kill my mother-in-law. And the doctor said, don't give, I can give you a pill but you will be immediately caught. Better I give you a powder that you put every day for 6 months, and then it will be a slow killer. Nobody will come to know, because this was something happening for 6 months, so nobody will come to know it. She will die slowly. And the daughter-in-law liked it so much. And as she was leaving, the doctor said that, but behave very nicely so that your daughter, the mother-in-law, no one suspects that there was a fight between you. And she understood that. She went, and within 2 months she came back saying that, doctor, I want an antidote for that poison that you gave. And said, what happened? Said, you don't want to kill her anymore? No, I don't want to kill, because I realized that now she is okay. Now she is behaving very nicely. And how did this happen? I don't know. I was just talking to her nicely and she changed. So many a times it's our the way we come across. It's not what we say, but how we say many times ruins things. The tone of our voice, rather than just what the content of the message. And you may just focus on the message, but the other person sees the way it is said, and therefore it said, judge yourself by your actions, by your words, and try to understand others based on their intentions. That they may not meant this, but maybe there was something in their mind, so because of this they said this. So change the changeable, and if you try to do it in the proper way, most of the times it will happen, it will work. Second is, after you have tried all your human means, all the means that you have in the world, second is accept the unchangeable. Say your husband, wife, friend, teacher, fellow devotee, he has some habit that just irritates you, that you just don't like, and you try to change him. I have one brahmachari with me, who when he sneezes, he closes his mouth, he doesn't sneeze out. And I tried to tell him many times, Prabhu, it's not healthy for you if you sneeze inside, because all your inner system shatters. But he's more conscious about outer system, that nobody should outside should feel any disturbance. So I tried to tell him many times, but that's his habit. And then I understood that there's no point in telling. So accept the unchangeable. If that's the way he is comfortable, maybe my system shatters, but his system may not shatter if he does. So, but most of us judge ourselves, everyone else based on our lenses, our habits. So accept the unchangeable. Somebody is not changing unless it's harmful for the society or something. Accept him, because Not every item in the menu has to be the same. There is only when there is variety there is taste. Instead of handling the diversity, instead of celebrating the diversity that we have, we try to make everything same. Then we lose the fun in it after everything becomes the same, because you don't love the way you are. Then if you make someone else the way you are, how are you going to like them? So that's the second principle, that accept the unchangeable, that try to develop this quality of either Krishna speaks in the Gita, matra sparshastu kaunteya, that try to develop the art of tolerance of people, situations, environment. And in today's instant age where we can get anything that we want, we are losing this capacity to tolerate, to wait to have patience with people, to have patience with our careers. People judge their career just based on 6 months of being in it, thinking this is not fitting, and they keep jumping like from one place to another, never actually growing in anything. Because all important things in life take time, whether it be health, whether it be relationship. Only after a time you realize the growth in it. Same with self development. And the third principle is that you are not able to accept the unchanged, that something that is so you can't live with it, you can't change it. What do? Third is to rise above the unchangeable, take help of spirituality. Just like when you take a flight, when you rise your altitude, your consciousness, when it's elevated, then the problem is there, but the size of the problem is reduced. So the problems will be there, you may not be able to change it, but when you put up a noise cancelling headphones, the noise will go down. So rise above the situation, and rather by the help of Gita, by the help of spirituality, by the help of Krishna consciousness. And when you use these three principles, then you are able to handle all the turbulences that happen in our life.
Thank you so much for these answers. I think this, particularly the last question, I think would have benefited a lot of people, because just I think 2 days before our show, our this talk, Prabhu, I was going through some spiritual codes, and I came across about tolerance. I think tolerating your problems or tolerating your issues is one of the highest form of spirituality. And you telling it again here, Prabhu, has reiterated that affirmation in me. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for patiently answering all my questions. I think I am a liberated soul now. I can go out and very confidently tell people how these spiritual practices has helped me. And I'm excited about helping others also to raise above the issues that they are facing. So right now, I'm passing back the stage to our moderator, Shalini Mataji. Thank you very much once again, Prabhu.
Thank you. My
Thank you,
pleasure.
Subha Mataji. Prabhu, our chat box has been basically bombarded with lots and lots of questions. Everybody has been asking questions, but so sorry, Prabhu and Mataji, we have screened and only selected 2 questions due to time constraint. So, Prabhu, the first question is, while we may know logically that we are a spirit soul and to not identify with our body, it is not easy to internalize this lesson. So, how can we begin to really embrace this and live meaningfully?
Very beautiful question. Krishna speaks the practice of this understanding in the with the what he speaks from the second chapter till the 18th chapter. In the second chapter beginning, Krishna speaks that we are not the body, we should not identify with the body. But how do we come to that understanding? And for that, Krishna speaks about that the situation that you have been given with, the nature that you have been given with. Only when you be true to that nature, then through that you start to understand that you are not really doing, you are not really truly controlling anything. Krishna speaks in the 5th chapter, Navadware Pure Dehi, that we are all residents in this city of nine gates. And as a resident, you start to see that if this is my house, am I controlling everything this that's happening in my house? Most of the actions that we do in our body is not in our control. The digestive system wish it was in our control, but then we'll have to wake up all night if there was some food lying there to make it digested. But we just sleep, and it goes on a auto mode, the digestion. Then all the detoxification, the kidneys, they work on their own through the nature. So even our own body, it's not we who are wanting to see, we are using the eyes to see. And when we start to see that I am a resident in this city and I've been given permission for some facilities to be used at particular time, like say we all have this experience, morning when we wake up, we want to flush our bowels, but it just doesn't come out. For sometimes, especially when we have pizza or something made with white flour, it just doesn't come out. So when we start to observe that, so that's the first thing, that start to being conscious that I am not really the doer of my body. I am only being given an allowance in some situations. So let me use that allowance, and there is another person in this body, the Paramatma, who is really the sanctioner, who is the true controller. And when I align myself with his vision, so just introspection in the proper way will start to guide us in the right direction. Along with that, what Krishna speaks is purification, that our conditionings have to be purified by engaging for a higher purpose. So if you are a singer, if you engage that propensity, that inclination, that conditioning to sing for God, to sing to serve rather than sing to usurp others' property, then slowly you start to see, just like an expert harmonium player, he'll start to see that it is not him that is playing, it is his hands, and he is not even thinking about which kind of finger is pressing where. It just goes in a flow, and that's the next stage where you start to see that I am not even a conscious, I am not even a doer, and it is material nature that is doing things, and I have been given this vision so that I could connect with God with the spare time that I have, that mindset that I have. So therefore that knowledge that Krishna speaks in the second chapter, for it to become wisdom, we have to live it. And wisdom cannot just come from outside, wisdom has to come from within by application. Therefore they say knowledge comes from learning, but wisdom comes from living. So when we start to see, just like if we have become too conscious about our body weight or about our looks, when we know that, hey, I shouldn't judge myself or evaluate myself based on this, because I know I shouldn't judge. And most happy people are not the most beautiful people are not those who have good looks, but those who beam a good smile. And they say this curved face looks more beautiful than a smart face that is anxious, that is stressed. So the beauty comes from the heart, and therefore in Hindi or Sanskrit it is called as Sundar. Su means good, and Andar means inside. One who is beautiful inside, or one who has a good heart, becomes beautiful in the eyes of the people. Those are the people that are aspired for. So instead of identifying ourselves with externals, we don't have control. Let's go deep within, because anyway externals are beyond my control. I only have some influence. When I am allowed to have influence, let me have. Other times, let me focus on my inside rather than wasting my time where I can't do anything. So this practice of the spiritual knowledge will slowly start to bring us to that realization.
Thank you, Prabhu. I hope it answered everybody the question. So the second question now, Prabhu, I think is very relatable to youngsters mostly. So when you feel low, right, you don't really feel like reading the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. Rather, you want to go out for a movie. So overwhelm you, even though you take out the chanting bag, thoughts will overwhelm you. So how do we deal with this situation?
uh, movie sense indulgence movies or any kind of solution is only like a painkiller, like an anesthesia, and if we just depend on them, they are not going to solve the true issue, because people are fed up with even movies that almost all the movies that come out, the people watch it, then there is rating, most of the ratings are is not good, this is not good, the same old story, and and no person in this world, no possession in this world, no pursuit in this world can bring continuous satisfaction. Everything starts to dwindle. You can't watch the same movie again and again, and you depend on someone else to make a good movie so that you can get pleasure. And in case in some year, some place you are in a situation where you can't get that, then you are lost, because you are not developed that inner connection, that inner happiness. So instead of searching for outside pleasures, which are very much dependable on situations, on people outside, and I can't always know. And imagine a day comes where you can't hear properly, a day comes where you can't see properly. Can movies give you happiness then? They can't. So therefore, but when you have that inner reservoir activated, connected, then you don't have to depend, knowing that these facilities, this city's facilities that I have are not going to be there forever. So let me not just invest in energy in them. Yes, if there is uh, a pressure that is too much, then sometimes we people go for this, but then it's just a temporary relief. Just like some student, he's so anxious with the exam, he just sleeps. When he wakes up, it's not that exam is over, exam is still going to be there. So when people forget their problems like an ostrich, it's not that problems are going to get over. Just watching a movie, the hero is not going to come and save your job. The hero may save job in the movie, he is not going to save job in your real world. So when people imagine, try to take imaginary pleasure as the solution and constantly be in that virtual world, then their reality will start to degrade. They will become a couch potato. Their body will start to function, and then they are a mummy on a sofa. So that's not the solution. The solution is, okay, there may be that drive. Don't give in to that drive. Understand the true thing is that as a soul, as a living being, we have a need for connection, and connection can truly come from God and those people that connect us to God.
True, Prabhu. I agree. Like when you said just now that when we feel stressed, some of us tend to go and sleep. I used to do that, but when I wake up, the issue is still there. So now we know our answer how to get peace from within. So rather than lamentating and not doing it, better just get on the ground, do it, so that we will the fruitive results we will experience it later on. So I understand. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. That's the two questions we have. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for all the enlightenments today. I'm very sure many of us would have benefited a lot from you today. Blessings from devotees such as yours, Grace, is always needed for beginners like us, the Gaur Sena. So once again, it was an honor to have you with us on our second virtual table talk. Just two more announcements, Prabhu, then we are done for the day. So the first announcement is Prabhus and Matajis, those who like to keep in touch with us, the Gaur Senas, please follow us in the our Facebook page, Gaur Sena Kuala Lumpur, or contact us through the number flashed at the chat box. We do have we have slide for this. Hema Mataji? Okay, we do have weekly classes like Bhagavad Gita class for the beginners, intermediate classes, Mahabharatam classes, youth classes, Tamil classes, and also Srimad Bhagavatam. So if any of y'all are interested, y'all can contact the contact number over there. So that's the first one. Second is we would really, really appreciate if y'all could fill up the feedback forms, which is at the chat box below. This is just so that we can perform better for the future table talk. So yeah, that's all. Once again, Prabhu, on behalf of Gaur Sena, thank you so, so very much. It was an honor to have you here with us, and also all the Prabhus and Matajis who stayed with us throughout this 1 hour, 15 minutes. Thank you so much. And a big shout out to my Gaur Sena team and also Bhagavad Gita Academy Kuala Lumpur. So till we meet again, Hare Krishna, good night and stay safe. Prabhu, thank you so, so much. And thank you for your blessings, Prabhu.
My great pleasure and privilege to interact with all of you. I definitely felt Shubha was like Arjuna, but I may not be like Krishna, but I tried to share whatever I could. And you are like Sanjaya, conveying everyone, handling. So hope you all have a good day and a good week, and keep in touch with Gaur Sena. And
Thank
my
you, Prabhu.
great pleasure to be at this forum. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhu.
you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, and really appreciate.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu and Mataji, we are going to end the call now. Thank you so much, Vijay Mohan Prabhu. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.